Samaran, guys. Azim, I was taking a walk, and as I'm leaving, like my complex, I'm seeing this white couple. They've got a dish, not a dish, a bucket with water, and in fact, to go like a cloth, and they're going to the. So we've got lights in the common spaces, So when you're driving, there's like not like street lights, but it's those little cute nyana light things, and they're actually going with this cloth and water, and they wiping the lights for us. I don't know. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So in my complex, we've got garden service. They come and they clean the garden and they do all those things and they sweep the driveway and they cut the trees and they have that. They come in every day, but no one thinks about cleaning those lights. It's one of those things where you're like, it never goes through your head, And I was like, And I'm saying to my nana, I was like, Azi love, abelungu are at a certain level of life where they can think about these type of things. They're at a certain level of life where personally in their homes, shit is so sorted out. They have now time and resource that they can actually go and take a bucket and a cloth and go wipe these lights in a common place, and all over the complex, and they've got their little girl. It looks so cute as a family. I'm like, white people are so far removed from survival mode that they can actually start thinking like that. And I was giving her a sports analogy, a rugby analogy. Would say there's different stages when you are fighting. Boxing, the fighters will know what I'm talking about. The rugby players will know what I'm talking about. Maybe soccer, whatever the space may be. I'll try and find other examples where you first level is survival mode, then you get into defensive mode, then you get into attack mode. Then from there, you can become creative and become artsy with it. If you are fighting, if you've never fought ever and they drowned, you think of Drickus. Drickus was just in survival mode. He was just trying to survive, just not to die. Again, if you think about us as black people, many black people are in survival mode, whether they're living in squatter camps, whether they're living on the streets, whether they are living in dilapidated, broken down flats that have been hijacked by Watwati, whether they're still staying at home. Maybe you're staying at home under your mother's house. You're in survival mode. The next stage, once you can get out of survival mode, is defensive mode. Defensive mode is just praying, yo, mama, rent this month, or you slightly 1 month behind, or you're going paycheck, rent. You're in defensive mode. So you never get to a point where you're in attack mode. Attack mode is getting to a point where you've got your own bond and you're not stressed about it. You're not like, oh my God, my bond repayment is now up by... You're not stressed. You're in attack mode. You can now mow the lawn. You can now paint. That's when you're in attack mode, where you are in control of the situation. It's not something that keeps you awake, at 2 o'clock in the morning. That next step is that step of when you go and you say, you know what I'm thinking? Maybe we need to redo the garage. That is when you get creative. That's when you're at that art level. Maybe we need to redo the kitchen. That's when you're at that level. From a sports point, if you ever play rugby, once you guys start winning by like 20, 30 points, you've moved from attack, you're now in control. Once you get to that level and the ref is like 15 minutes left, you guys by 30 points, you can become creative. Sidestep, now you can have some flair, That's the thing. And every time I watch white people, I'm like, so many of them are operating in that attack creative realm, As black people, we're so far. Like when we were given cell phones, oh my God, we never thought of being able to iterate or improve upon that. We never thought, hey, I'm not happy with this 3310. Maybe let's add polyphonic ringtones. Black people we were like happy. Oh my God, this is just the best thing. And then someone then decided, let's add polyphonic ringtone, because for them, they were so advanced in the thinking, And then someone was even more advanced in thinking, like, let's actually put some color here. Let's actually make this a smart thing. If you're in survival mode and you have no money, you have no money for it. When will you ever get to a point of attack mode where you're like, I've got 2 cars in the garage. Now maybe let me get myself a 4-wheeler. Let me get myself a scooter. When will you get creative with it? Guys, every time I walk and I watch white people, I go, hey, man. Labantu, they are so far. They so far. For us, everything, relationships, oh my gosh, our relationships are holding on by a thread, survival mode. Busy looking through people's phones just to see what can we survive. And if we're not, and if there's nothing there, then we are arguing and fighting, arguing and fighting, arguing and fighting, arguing and fighting, and then using alcohol and sex to just drown and numb ourselves. We never get to a space where we are in attack mode. Siyolobola, siga sharp. When we do lobola and shada, it's camouflaging defensive mode, because we get married. If we don't, we lose this person. Well, some obviously they're in love, but we never get to that point of love. Let's go renew our vows. In Italy, creative with it. We never get to be creative with it. We never get to a point where we can walk around our complex and say, hey, let me clean the random light bulbs to help other people. We never get to that point. We never get to that point where we walk around and like, oh, you know what? I'm just thinking of redoing the entire wardrobe. Let me get rid of all these clothes and donate them. I've already got all these clothes, attack mode. I've got all they're all still great. They're not torn. They're not what. Let me redo that because, it's 2025. It's the year of the wow. Need to change the feng shui in this home. We never as a country or as a black population get to that mode. In everything we do, guys, it is so scary. And we're walking and we're talking about this. And again, I'm trying to find out what's in my life, where am I in terms of relationship? Financially, shit. Financially, am I in survival mode? Am I in defensive mode? I'm definitely not in attack mode. That I can tell you for free, let alone to a point where I can be creative with the money and like, let me put a little bit, on this stock. Let me put a little bit on Bitcoin. Let me put a little bit on shares on the moon. I'm not even there yet. So I'm bubbling somewhere between survival and defensively financially. That's where I'm at. So if you don't, in my opinion, have a savings of like 6 months, that you can survive 6 months from if there's an Armageddon and financials are back for 6 months, you still with us in defensive mode, bubbling under there. Because once you have a proper savings where your lifestyle, your style of living can stay exactly the same for the next 6 months, then you can say you're in attack mode. Once you have enough stored away to get yourself for a year, 2 years, then you can get too creative with it. Now you can start playing, with your relationship, with your kids. Where are you with your kids? Maybe you got a horrible relationship with your kids. Where are you with your family? Are your family just, you're getting together, you ignore the elephants in the room, like the real things, because you guys are just trying to survive and bond as a family. You guys are in defensive mode all the time as a family. So you never get to become creative with it. So even when you do organize the prize, even when you do organize the whatever, you're doing it as a form of just defensive. So when they invite you, you're even scared to say no, because again, everything is just so defensive. Yo, guys, I thought about this and it's like, shit, in my life, where am I on survival mode? In my life, where am I slightly better and in a defensive mode? In my life, where is it where I'm attacking? I'm confidently on the front foot. I'm confidently on the front foot. And where is it where I've dominated this point where I'm actually getting creative with it now? Where am I? I'm getting creative. I was looking at like my whole social media and this whole YouTube thing. I'm sitting on like attack mode. And the reason why I put myself in attack mode, it's not really to do with the followers or the growth or this. It's because I don't rely on this as an income. So I get to do it when I want to do it, how I want to do it. There's no pressure. So a person who might rely on this as their bread and butter and has hundreds of subscribers, hundreds of followers, if it becomes your bread and butter and you're not sleeping at night because I need to grow this, I need to make this amount of money so that I can, then you become defensive and you become on survival, even though you've got this whole following. If it's one of those things that keep you at night, if it's one of those things that are at the reason why you're stressed and because of the stress, then you can't be on attack mode. You can't. It must be something where you're having fun with it. You're on the front foot. If you're on the back foot with it, ndaki, aye. But I was actually thinking, sorry, I know some of you guys may be thinking, which I'm going to come up with solutions, is what you might be doing. No. Just thinking aloud. And it was a good conversation because we were taking a young walk, you need to take these walks just to get in God's beautiful oxygen, lulikas, you get that to flow. But yeah, just a little bit of an exercise. Ask yourself, financially, Are you in survival mode, defensive? Are you on the forefront, front foot, sorry? Or are you on creative? Are you one of those big baller shot callers where money is not even an object anymore? Health wise, are you in survival mode? Always eating amapilisi because you are gouty, banbani, sugar, la la la. Are you in survival mode? Or are you on defensive mode? Maybe you incredibly overweight. You're in defensive. Are you in attack mode where at the beach you can take off your watwati and you'd look phenomenal and people will clap? Or are you creative with your health? You can run a 10K when you want. You can play a full soccer game. You can still go to the gym. You can do whatever because you're at that level. Your relationship, is your relationship holding on with it by a thread? If you were to see an SMS or WhatsApp coming in from the opposite sex on your partner's phone, how are you like? Doesn't matter. Or are you now panicking and breathing hard? If your ex is saying, I mean, not your ex, if your partner is saying, they met up with their ex, not met up, but they saw them at Christ, does your heart beat fast? If they go out for drinks without you, do you feel insecure? Like, where are you with your relationship? Where are you with your family? Where are you with your job, your career? Where's that? Is it in survival mode? Because every time you have that Sunday afternoon anxiety because you have to wake up and go to job, you can't be in attack mode. If you have that Sunday afternoon anxiety going into that Monday and you think about work, you're not in attack mode. You're on the back foot of your career. You're in the back foot of your job. You need to move, change, look at other opportunities so that you can actually thrive, so that you can also be cleaning light bulbs in a random complex and actually be good about it and be happy because you know that all your other shit is taken care of. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this. Please share this video far and wide. Again, just talking about those 4 pillars and all those 4 steps and where people are. Be a great conversation to have with your partner, with your family. Great conversation to have at work. Where are we? Are we in survival mode as a business? Are we in defensive mode where it's just paycheck to paycheck, or are we in attack mode? Do we have enough to last the next 3 to 6 months, or are we fucking creative? We've got enough money to fucking pivot the whole company and add this and add this. But anyway, like, subscribe, do all those amazing things with those notification bells. But have yourselves a fantastic day, guys. I'm out.